What is good, YouTube? This is the Connect 200 once again. Today I'm going to be naming my top games I have played that I recommend that you get. And these are going to be in no particular order. They're not going to be the best games of all times, the best games that people consider the best of all times. No, 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 it's not going to be any of them games. They're going to be games that I have played, and after I have played them, I recommend them to anybody. Some of these games I have not beaten. Some of these games I'm still, trying to play through. So don't really get on me saying, "Oh, you ain't complete the game." So how you gonna like recommend it? Look, I recommend good games to anybody, just like good comic books, good movies, whatever. So so this list is going to be very short and it's not going to be too long. But the only thing long is going to be me explaining why I recommend you check out these games. Now, the first game I recommend to anybody is Star Wars Battlefront 2. Now, Star Wars has had its ups and downs as far as movies go. The ups being the original trilogy, the downs being the Star Wars prequels. We already know everybody's thoughts on both series, so I'm not going to go into any detail. But this game is sort of really, neutral. It has elements from the Star Wars prequels. It has elements from the original trilogy. And this is a good game. Is the campaign good? No. Is the gameplay good? Yes. Now, what this game has to offer is the simple fact that you can play as any faction you want. Like in past Star Wars games before Battlefront 1, you always had to play as the good guy. You couldn't play as the bad guy. You couldn't be a stormtrooper. In you couldn't be Darth Vader, for example. So with Battlefront 1 and 2, you can play as any faction you want. You can be a republic, an empire, a confederate of independent systems, the separatists, or the clones, the republic. This is definitely a good game because you get to go into any vehicles you want. You can cause mayhem on the enemies you want to take over. This game also has a couple of modes. It has Conquest, Campaign. It has Capture the Flag, which is my personal favorite in this game. And Capture the Flag is not really called that. It's really called Capture the Command Post. I really like to play that type of game because you get to pick any class of soldier you want, and you get to go out there shoot until you get every command post or until their reinforcements dwindle. And in this game you get to play as major characters in the Star Wars universe. You get to play as the main Jedi in the prequels like Mace Windu. I forget the other Jedi's name, the pink guy. You get to play as Anakin, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and some villains like General Grievous, Darth Vader. I don't think Boba Fett. So yeah, this is a good game. I recommend this to any Star Wars fan. Battlefront 2 mostly, not Battlefront 1. Battlefront 1 is kind of weak in my opinion, so I wouldn't recommend that to anybody. The next game I would definitely recommend that anybody get is, of course, BioWare's Mass Effect 2. Now, I have played Mass Effect 2 on the Xbox 360, and I was completely hooked like 3 hours into the game because the game almost reminded me of some episodes on Star Trek. And no, I'm not really a Star Trek fanatic. Don't even confuse me with that. But when I played Mass Effect, I had like a sense of control. I had a sense of I could tell the crew where to go, what to do. I was like the head, captain of a ship. So, sort of like a Star Trek when Captain Kirk is the command of every ship, what have you. But this game has some good storytelling, some good detail. You get to know about your crew, you get to know the stories they've been through. And Mass Effect 2 on its own, you ain't gotta play like the first Mass Effect to get it. I just played Mass Effect 2, loved it. It has good voice acting, not no cheap voice actors. They got real voice actors to betray the crew members, even Captain Shepard. Um, and the story is real deep, and you get to choose, which characters are going to die and which characters are going to live. You also develop relationships with your characters, and your crew member will also fight amongst each other. And I think in one instance you pick a side, and depending on which side you pick, the other person's going to be mad at you. So that's going to cause some relationship issues. But overall, Mass Effect 2 is a good game. I recommend it to anybody who likes RPGs. And to be quite frank, that's what got me into RPGs in the first place. The next game I would recommend to anybody, and these are going to be 3 games in particular. It is Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Grand Theft Auto 3 brought an open world element to the Grand Theft Auto series. Now before Grand Theft Auto 3, it was the up view of you playing in Grand Theft Auto. That's how it was. But Grand Theft Auto 3 brought the third person view open world element into it. And it was a breath of fresh air. And when I first played this game at a friend's house, I instantly wanted to get that game. I wanted to get the game and play it. And I think I've gotten Grand Theft Auto 3 and Grand Theft Auto Vice City. That was when Vice City came out. I wasn't, really playing Grand Theft Auto 3 in 2001. But Grand Theft Auto 3 nevertheless is a good game. It has some story elements to it, even though the protagonist doesn't really talk. But you get a sense of how strong the supporting cast is. Out of all the Grand Theft Autos, I feel the supporting cast is better in Grand Theft Auto 3 because number one, the protagonist doesn't say jack. He just, takes it in, and does what he's told. The protagonist wasn't really named until San Andreas. I think it was Claude. I think that's what his name was, Claude. So yeah, that's the protagonist's name. And Grand Theft Auto 3 has some game mechanics, but there is some downsides to them, like you can't jump out of the car while driving. You get like a limited amount of weapons. You can blow up a car, but you can't really like shoot out the tires. You can't damage your car with a bat per se. But overall, the game is good. There's some good missions in it, and I recommend it to any Grand Theft Auto fan or Rockstar fan in general. Next we're gonna get to its prequels, which one of them is Grand Theft Auto Vice City, which is a prequel to Grand Theft Auto 3. Now, this game is about Tommy Vercetti, who has spent 15 years in jail at Liberty City and is now getting released. Now, Tommy Vercetti is under the employment of the Forelli brothers, which are like a mafia gang type of sort. Whereas Grand Theft Auto 3 took place in 2001, this game takes place in 1986. So this is the 80s, This is the beginning of the crack epidemic. There's a whole lot of cocaine being sold back in them days. So Tommy Vercetti goes to Vice City to oversee the Forellis trying to move into Vice City and trying to establish like sort of a drug cartel there or something. So Tommy Vercetti's overseeing it, and they make a deal with the Vance brothers, Lance Vance and Vic Vance. They make a deal with them too, but the whole deal goes sour when 2 gunmen dressed in masks start shooting up everybody, and the drugs go missing. Vic is killed. 3 people of Tommy Vercetti's group are killed, and he's the only one to survive that whole ordeal, as in as with Lance Vance also. So the basic story is Tommy Vercetti is trying to get the money back to his boss Sonny Forelli. Not Tommy Forelli. I'm Tommy Vercetti. Sorry, Tommy Vercetti is trying to get the money to Sonny Forelli. The whole story is basically Tommy Vercetti trying to find out what happened with that deal, who ambushed him, and there's some twists and turns, and then Tommy Vercetti starts to realize how much of a boss he can be in Vice City as opposed to just working under Sonny Forelli. So I'm not going to spoil the story anymore there. Now the gameplay is definitely an improvement from Grand Theft Auto 3. In this game you get to ride motorcycles. You got a variety of weapons as opposed to Grand Theft Auto 3. You get to damage cars with bats, crowbars, golf. I think golf sticks. So yeah, you get to damage cars. You get to shoot tires out. It's just a fun experience in general. And the one perk you can do is you can buy properties once you complete a certain mission. So that is definitely a worthwhile game. And the game in particular almost reminded me of Scarface because Vice City is in real life Miami. So there, so that explains it all. The next game in the prequels is Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and in my opinion, this is the best game in Grand Theft Auto ever. I'm sorry, it is. The story is basically about Carl Johnson coming back from Liberty City, and he worked for Joey, and Joey's Salvatore Leone's son in Grand Theft Auto 3. So Carl comes to San Andreas, known in real life as Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. And Carl goes there to his home in Grove Street, which is kind of like Compton in real life. So he finds out everything's gone haywire. You got his family who's in a gang. They're saying that their gang members are leaving them and going to the other gang known as the Ballers. And it's really a great game. The story is filled with twists and turns. I'm not going to tell it right now, but it is worth playing through, and it is definitely a long game. Now the gameplay is to die for. It is. Once you play Grand Theft Auto San Andreas for the first time as opposed to Vice City and Grand Theft Auto 3 and even Grand Theft Auto 4, you'll notice the unlimited amount of things you can do in San Andreas. I can name like 3 or 4 off the top of my head. You get to customize your hairstyle. You get to customize your physique. You know, being fat, being skinny, being muscular. You can choose any fight style you want. What else? You can customize any car you want. And the last one, you can ride any vehicle you desire, whether it be a train, a jet, a plane, or even a jetpack in a mission or so. So yeah, that is why Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is the best. And also you get to be in the gang to where you fight over turf. And I think there was some multiplayer in San Andreas. I don't really remember. But yeah, San Andreas, best game in Grand Theft Auto. I recommend anybody picking that up. Anybody. The last 2 games I'm going to mention are Star Wars games, but these 2 are RPGs, and both these games have such an amazing story that I wish these were the prequels, better than the movies we could have gotten. But unfortunately, they're not, so I can't really dwell on that too much. The games I'm talking about is Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic and Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2: The Sith Lords. Both these games are phenomenal. Good voice acting, good twists and turns, good gameplay mechanics as far as an RPG goes, and good characters. Need I say more? I think I don't. Okay. So yeah, that is the games that I have played that I recommend to other people. I might do a part 2 to this list, so don't really get mad that your favorite game isn't on here. These are the games I have played and that I recommend to people. So yeah, that is it. If you have any games that you recommend me try, put them down in the comment section. Until then, peace out.